And then yesterday,
safe words or something.
And then yesterday, I gave Mark
The
a
safe
countdown,
word is
and he totally,
licorice.
Oh, he balled.
totally bombed
That's
it.
because you did it in the middle of me fucking laughing my ass out about something.
It's
No,
okay.
it went absolute dead silence, Mark. As soon as we said
Jesus.
it's
It's
go
true.
time, Mark went.
I did 3, 2, 1. I flipped you off for the last one. I think that's
I was
what.
laughing my ass off. I was trying not.
I think that's
Are
what
you
got
actually?
It. Yes.
Again.
Yeah. You did. You missed that? He clicked the button like
Now you can see the lines.
32 seconds ago.
I can
30.
see
He,
the
he always waits until we're halfway into a conversation. That
Yeah.
way, the people that are listening to this podcast are going, "Wait, what?
Wait,
What
what?
the fuck were they
What's
saying
going on?
beforehand?"
I'm so confused. Nothing makes sense.
I think anybody listening to this knows by now that we're just amateur idiots.
4 assholes with microphones and too much time on their hands.
Speaking of
Hey, I'm
four,
a vet. I ain't no amateur,
speaking
yo.
of four,
I've been doing this for 10 years.
we would like to welcome to the pod.
Yeah, guest.
Pod.
We have a
Pod.
guest tonight.
Hi, guest.
Am I in my own
Go
pod?
ahead, Josh. Introduce him.
Introduce yourself, Josh.
I'm Josh.
Hi, Josh.
What's up, Josh?
I'm Josh.
Woo!
And okay, that's great. All right, so moving on.
Let's call them Josh 1 and 2.
Well,
I
so
don't care
the thing
which
is
one's
that
which.
I actually had Josh on here tonight because you do your own podcasts.
So many, it's not even funny.
What's your best one? What's your favorite
Well, our current one is Marvelous Bastards.
one? Marvelous Bastards. That one is all Marvel.
All Marvel.
No,
all
we
comics.
have some listeners, at least one, who would jump on that and say you're a Marvel fanboy.
All right.
I've been accused of such things.
Yes, Logan is
Yeah.
accused of
Now, get this. I was accused of being a Marvel fanboy when we were doing a Marvel versus DC side-by-side comparison as to what is actually more successful at this point in time.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Marvel is kicking DC's
Marvel's
Oh,
kicking
yeah.
DC's ass.
By the way,
but
now
then,
I'm
of
but
course.
then I was labeled a Marvel fanboy. Okay.
I'm
Whatever.
hearing that Batman is their do or die movie.
Yes.
Well, then there's the problem is how many times do you need to know that Bruce Wayne's parents died when he was a kid? I mean,
Every
come on.
fucking time,
Every damn
Josh.
movie. Every movie.
Every movie.
Even in Orphan versus Orphan, they go through that crap. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what the?
Yeah, that was
Well,
that was
It's
pretty
Martha
gross.
Bastards is what we got to call that.
Martha.
The Martha Bastards.
Well, and I actually like that with Civil War when they introduced Spider-Man. Whoa. Spider-Man.
Yeah, they don't even go into his
Spider-
origin.
And it was cool because they were like, we don't need another fucking origin story. Uncle Ben is dead. Aunt May is hot.
He got bit
For
by a
some
spider.
weird reason.
He got bit by a spider.
Aunt May has never been hot before.
Hey.
But,
Uh,
I don't know. Sally Field? Oh,
It's because
yeah.
Disney owns it now, so they hooked it
that's
up.
the right.
Oh, Mark just scared me with that comment.
What did Mark say? I missed it.
He just
Sally Field was the hottest Aunt May ever.
You like her. You really like her. Ah! Yeah, that's
Cool.
right.
Family
Aged
Guy.
references.
Go get some of that hot Sally Field. Hey, I don't like it either.
Oh my god. So,
no, it was Marissa Tomei, right?
yeah. it
Yeah,
was
she was the new
Oh
one.
yeah.
But I'm
she's
talking about the
beautiful.
last franchise.
Oh,
Was
she's gorgeous.
I got to be careful what I say because I know she listens to the show, and I don't want her.
She's a devoted listener.
yeah, you know.
We don't want to put her on blast, right?
I don't know,
exactly.
dude. It worked pretty well for on Seinfeld for George.
That's true. That's true. So, any of you who have listened to more than 10 minutes of any podcast we've ever done knows that there are two things that Logan hates above all else. One of them is Hayden Christensen.
Oh,
Oh
you
man,
gonna get
dude.
me going on that little piece of shit again?
And the other is Star Trek. So we thought,
Wait, let's be clear.
see, he needs to take a minute to express the full depth of his hate.
No. Let's be clear, okay?
Okay.
The J.J. Abrams reboots,
Yeah.
I've liked.
Yes.
Everything prior to that blows.
Garbage.
Okay. It
This
all
is Star
sucks.
Trek, by the way. You got to specify because JJ's crossed both universes.
He's
the only ones that
he's
J.J.
the first
Abrams has
person in
done.
history.
Yeah,
to
but
ever
he,
direct
No,
both.
there's also Greg Grunson. He's been in both Star Trek.
No,
and
he
Star
hasn't
Wars.
directed both. Though.
No, he hasn't directed both.
That's what I said. He's the first person to direct
Direct,
a Star
ah,
Wars
yes.
and a Star Trek movie.
Yes,
it's awesome.
it is awesome.
Best of both worlds.
It is.
I do like
With
J.J.
J.J.
Abrams.
And I really like how J.J. used Star Trek as a stepping stone to get into Star Wars.
Well, one of the most interesting
that's
things
awesome.
I heard when they actually got JJ to do Star Trek, he was like, he made a comment about how he's always been a Star Wars guy, never really a Trekkie.
We're warriors.
He
not
just
Trekkies.
he didn't really get it. And then he was like, okay, we showed up, we started filming, we got into it, and after that he really loved it. He really had a good time with it. And he's a pretty big fan of Star Trek now as well.
I just don't really give a shit about William Shatner.
So one thing that we have to talk about it because it is the 50th anniversary of Star Trek this year.
50 years. Is that the
Boo!
is that the second longest sci-fi series? I know Doctor Who is the longest.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Probably.
I think it is the second longest sci-fi series. I'm
But it's
googling
not.
it right
But
now.
I
But
think
it's not, though.
What's
Doctor
the,
Who is still producing new movies.
Yeah,
or new
it's the
shows.
That's why he
first.
said
That's
second.
why it's the first long. It is the longest series, sci-fi series, is Doctor Who. It
Star Trek
the
is one
longest.
series, so it
And
would be
Star
the second.
Trek-
But Star Trek breaks. I mean, there's multiple
it's still-
years in between.
But it's still going. There's been multiple years in between Doctor Who and Doctor Who. Like when they,
went
as far
from
as I understand,
black
they,
and white to
they didn't do
color.
it for a long time before
They'd wait till
they
Dorothy
rebooted
landed.
it with
Yeah.
that first actor back in the early 2000s or whatever. I
Uh,
don't know. Josh and
That's a
Josh here know
terrible
more
joke.
about that than I do, probably.
is Star Trek the second longest
Star Wars?
running?
Throw that in
So-
there.
All right, that's great pod. We got
Yeah.
some dead pod air.
Yeah. So what the other thing I
series.
wanted to address today was, the technology that Star Trek has helped inspired. The reason why that Star Trek is necessary in this world, and I only say that to piss off Logan.
Well, no, but there's something to be said for that because you all but cannot get hired on at NASA. All of our NASA listeners, feel free to fact check me on this. But you
Yeah.
pretty much have to be a Trekkie in order to get a job at NASA.
Yeah, it's
That's-
part of the test.
That's a thing.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
You're
is.
pulling that shit
No, I
straight
am
out.
Yeah,
not.
they pull down your pants and check to see if you have shriveled testicles, and if you do, then you're a Trekkie and you can come work for NASA.
If you can set your phasers to stunning.
It's the most idiotic thing to do. You're in a hostile planet and you're going to set your phasers to stun.
It's a self-defense maneuver.
In
No,
all
killing their
fairness-
asses is a self-defense.
No, that's an
maneuver.
offensive.
In all fairness,
declaration
Kirk
of war.
rarely ever
It's-
sets his to stun.
mean-
Also, he usually does hand-to-hand combat because he
It's
has to
true.
get his shirt ripped.
It's true.
He can't get his shirt ripped being
It-
shot at.
It's the same thing as like our military. There's a level, a standard.
Yeah.
You have to go up the escalation of force.
You should
can't
understand
just
that.
shoot
Rules
first.
of engagement,
Yeah.
Logan.
Yeah, you get shot at first, then you can return fire.
Yeah.
And plus, as Star Trek is showing us, we're a little bit of pussies in the future.
Everybody's all lovey-lovey,
Shatner is pussy in the future. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really a William
seen-
Shatner fan.
I've seen
I
side-by-side
do prefer the new
comparisons.
Kirk compared to the original.
Yeah,
Kirk.
I've seen
Chris Pine's
side-by-side
so much better.
comparisons about
Chris Pine.
Kirk
It's not
versus
even just
Picard.
Chris Pine. It's
Is it
also
Chris Pine?
yeah, it's Chris Pine.
Yeah.
Chris
It's
Pine.
not just Chris
Yeah.
Pine. It's also the way that he's written. He's just better.
Yeah.
His
He
characters.
doesn't have to talk like this.
That's because that's a Shatner thing.
Spock, what are the
I do love
meanings?
the way that they animate him on Family Guy, where he's like over here, and then he's over here. When he's over here.
Yeah.
Everyone who's listening knows what I'm talking about. 'cause
I
I've seen it.
think Shatner has taken over this podcast,
All right, now that we've all done our terrible Shatner impressions,
except for Josh.
I just shat myself a little bit.
Ha! Shat yourself.
You're good at
I
that.
see what you
dude.
did
You
there,
did it
Mark.
yesterday and everything. Only yesterday, I think you fleckled my face. I think you flecked my face with some of your poo shot, dude.
I just scooted over for everybody to know because I'm sitting next to Mark
Yeah,
and I just
I
didn't want to hear
don't
that.
fucking stink.
Oh, good times, good times.
Good times, good times.
Also, that was pretty much revenge for Logan shitting on me on the air so many times. So
That's true.
at least I didn't do it
happens.
till while we were recording.
Proverbial shit is
No,
not even close to an actual. poo
you're right.
flecking
It's worse.
on my head.
It's worse
It's worse.
Whoa.
because it's recorded.
I'll never be able to wash that
Farted
shit out of
you.
my head, dude.
It has been
you
immortalized
shouldn't.
on the airwaves
It
of the
actually
internet.
made him a better person for me having farted on it.
But honestly, when it comes down to Star Trek, there's been a lot of inspiration that's been given to innovators
Scientists,
in our
innovators,
world.
yes.
There
Gave
was
people goals.
what's that?
Gave people goals.
Yeah.
Something to do.
Well, the guy who first came up with the idea of the cell phone, he was like, "Oh my God, look,
Wait,
there's
I
Star
saw this
Trek."
on Star Trek once.
This guy was like talking to people with a little handheld device that doesn't have any cables on it. We should be able to do that. And then he figured out how to do it. So Logan, while your point yesterday of it would have happened eventually
Yeah.
may be valid, the point that I was bringing up is that it
You can't
happened
stop progress.
when
dude.
it did
You can't stop
because
progress.
of Star Trek. And Star Trek gave that to us sooner than we would have had it.
You can't stop progress.
It's
always
actually
gonna happen.
it's actually a common theme in Hollywood, though. You get Hollywood producers and movie makers, TV makers that'll do something in a TV show, and someone will say, "Hey, I bet we could make that work. We could do that," and then they produce that, put that into the mainstream. So for people,
Yeah, for everyone out there, I've been working on how to become Spider-Man. So if anyone out there has any ideas, share them with me.
yeah. Well,
First of all,
you got to
can't
get a
shit your
radioactive
pants,
spider.
dude.
No,
You only have one
Spider-Man,
unitard. You can't shoot
Spider-Man actually should shit web. I mean, come on, it doesn't come out of their hands for fuck's sake.
Whoa.
yourself. You see Mark up there hanging by his ass on the side of a building.
Squid, 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 squid.
So here we've got this thing right here.
You're red, dude, by the way.
Oh, Mark's a red shirt.
No,
You-
you're red.
Oh, I'm red. Oh yeah,
It
it's
happened.
happened. It happens.
Don't you want to fix that so that we don't ruin your audio?
No, it's good.
I'm good.
Well, anyway, yeah. So there's several different technologies that I was reading about. They're actually developing more recently that have been inspired by Star Trek, like the hypo spray they've been working on. Apparently, there's a new one where it's actually pretty fast, and they've had some in the past, but this newest one is like the fastest one, and all you really feel is the metal against your skin. You don't feel them shooting the drug into you or anything.
Yeah, they actually use this in the military. They're actually using a kind of hypo spray for giving immunizations really quickly to a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yep.
think about that. Little babies
just
won't be
air,
crying
isn't it?
anymore when they go get their.
Well,
their,
it's
Isn't
They're
it
shots.
pushed through air?
yeah, it's like a super
Yeah.
compressed air, but it injects the
It doesn't use a syringe or anything.
the stuff into your arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've also the one thing I thought was really cool is they actually do have working beams. What are they called?
Tractor
That's
beams.
great.
Tractor
Let 'em
beams.
go.
They have
Well, yeah.
they have actual working tractor beams that apparently work using sound waves.
They wanted to use the tractor beams for mining.
They
Yeah.
can.
There's a company that has actually got plans to do some asteroid mining, and they wanted to use that, and they developed that technology for the purpose of asteroid mining,
That's cool.
which I think is pretty freaking
Yeah,
awesome.
that's badass.
Yeah, so from what I understand, they can trap an object in space and move it forward, backwards, up, down, whatever, by changing the frequency of the sound wave.
Apparently, their transparent aluminum also exists.
Really?
Here's another Star Trek 4 related innovation. Scientists recently unveiled an aluminum-based ceramic that's not only transparent, but it'll stop a 50 caliber round.
So, what is your source you're quoting from that?
This is from Mashable.
That's pretty
Transparent
cool.
aluminium. What the hell's an aluminum falcon?
What else was there? There was something else. The warp drive.
Yes.
So
I've
this was a
heard.
fun thing. There was a scientist who came up with a warp drive, and mathematically he came up with it, and was actually laughed off stage where he presented it, because in order to create it, he would have needed a generator the size of Texas to produce enough energy. And so they laughed at him, and he came back like 5 or 6 years later, and with a refined process on how to produce the energy and how to make that happen. And everybody went, "Oh, hey, we could make this happen." And now recently they've had, with pulling in antimatter, being able to identify, store, and manipulate antimatter, they think...
Well, they've already gotten a particle to travel at warp.
Yeah. And what
It's been
what they're saying is they think that they can create a negative energy field which would facilitate a warp bubble and which would allow them to pull a ship through subspace faster than the speed of light without violating Einstein's theory of relativity.
That is pretty cool. Also, I know that they've actually been able to transport using transporter type technology.
They're working on it.
They've transported already an atom or something or whatever. Where it's basically they take the original and the original gets destroyed and it sends a copy. I don't like the thought of that. I don't like the thought.
It's a recreation. It's
creepy.
not an actual movement. But...
Oh, the other thing that Star Trek has inspired, right behind Josh, the 3D printer.
It's true.
It's very much like their...
the replicators.
Yeah, their replicators and stuff.
Which is funny, because you say replicators in Star Trek, it's totally cool. You say replicators in Stargate.
Oh, yeah, and you're screwed, man.
Oh.
Game over, man.
Game over, man. No.
Shit.
You know, Logan, you're being uncharacteristically quiet.
This is
That's
very
'cause I got
odd.
nothing to add to this shit.
You don't think it's cool that we might have a warp drive in the next foreseeable
all you
future?
gotta do is send a
You
rover
guys
to
need to
Mars.
see the
Theoretical shit
look
at
on
this
Logan's
point.
face right now. He
It's
is
all
just
theoretical.
irritated. Not all of
And?
it. Not all of it.
theory.
They have hypo sprays because of it. They have actual working tricorders because of it. We have tablets because of it. We have cell phones. Doctors are starting to use this name badge thing where it just calls them so they don't have to do overhead paging like the name badges on Star Trek The Next Generation. Let's see.
Oh, you mean like a pager, right?
They already have...
Jesus Christ.
It's not the same thing as a pager. A pager sends a message. A pager doesn't allow you to talk back and forth.
Yeah, it's a
That's
two-way
not the
communicator.
same thing.
Oh, you mean so like a radio, ham radio?
Nope.
No, because it doesn't work like a ham radio, and it's
No,
not.
in a ham radio, you broadcast on a frequency to anyone listening. In this one, you're broadcasting to a specific receiver.
It's much different.
So go ahead and say, like a two-way
Also,
radio. 'cause we can shut
ray gun.
that one down, too.
Okay, ray guns really come from any kind of sci-fi thing, but the whole stun setting, we actually have that technology in the military where they are able to shoot some kind of ray at somebody that stops them dead in their tracks, like a stun setting.
Which is pretty awesome.
I don't know if I can actually attribute that to Star Trek because
I don't either, because
that's
I think
been around since long before Star Trek.
Tesla-
the ray guns and all these types of things.
Yeah, Tesla actually had plans for a
And
death
to the
ray.
credit of someone else, and just to give Logan some
Wake me up when you get
jollies here, the tablet wasn't actually created by people from Star Trek. From what I was reading, the tablet was actually an idea from somebody in the 1800s, and it was meant to capture handwriting or something. And Star Trek basically brought that idea public.
Didn't somebody just want a bigger cell phone?
What do you mean?
That's what a tablet is.
Oh, I
tablet,
didn't know
yeah.
what else. Speaking of that, voice interface with our phones and stuff. That's Star Trek inspired.
Ooh, computer.
Now they're talking about doing the actual voice of Star Trek.
Yeah.
which I'm like, who cares?
I think it'd be badass.
I
That'd be
don't.
awesome.
I think it's stupid.
I think it'd be awesome to have the Star Trek computer voice.
We
on
already
my-
have voices that are the exact same thing. I mean, they're not. I don't think we're quite as sophisticated as those are supposed to be, but anyway.
No, the Star Trek computers are way more sophisticated than what we have.
Also, teleconferencing, video conferencing stuff.
Yep.
Star Trek. Logan is just the reason why he's upset is because he knows he's wrong and he doesn't want it.
No, I'm not wrong. It's just a matter of progression.
So you don't think that some of these people may have been inspired
But
by
our
Star
point.
Trek?
But see,
No,
the
And
thing
that might have
is,
pointed them in the right direction.
I have
all.
actually heard lots of scientists when I'm watching documentaries say they were inspired by Star Trek to
They
become
may have been
scientists
inspired
and to
by
create
it,
these things.
But that doesn't mean that Star Trek is a direct correlation
Yes.
with the shit that they make.
You can say that about anything throughout
You know,
history, though. You
I
can
got-
say
I
the
got-
same thing about
I got a bombshell.
about any technology. It doesn't matter who created it. Someone would have eventually done it if they hadn't existed.
Right.
That's true. We're not saying that's not true. We're saying that Star Trek inspired these things to be created, whether or not the person would have done it without it or not is irrelevant.
Pluto is a planet again because of Star Trek.
Why is
Somebody said,
I'm gonna need a
well,
source
it's a
of
planet.
reasoning.
It's a planet. So, I take it was some scientist said, I take the reasoning that Spock and Kirk. They show up to a round sphere. It's a planet. Duh. And they all kind of went, oh, crap.
I never understood like why did they say that wasn't a planet? Is it because of the size or because of
There was size. There was.
well then
there
that
was
would
a
make a
number of
moon a
different
planet
things.
if that if their theory
they
is
had
correct.
to. Well, it's a dwarf planet now, but if they left it as a planet, it would have added they found 15 more out there,
Yeah.
Ah, I see.
and they didn't want the solar system to be that big.
Yeah.
Big scary solar system.
Big scary solar system.
Yeah, I could go on ranting about scientists, especially when you're talking about them booing the guy. I love scientists because of that crap. Oh, Logan has actually walked out. Logan,
Wow. I didn't know he hated Star Trek that much.
He's waddling back.
We were talking about Pluto, though. You didn't want to throw in on Pluto?
It's messed up, right?
I could give two shits about Pluto.
Why could you get... Dude, you're killing me here.
I'm about to mic drop and walk out.
What's wrong? Why don't you care about Pluto?
Why should I?
Because everybody cares about Pluto.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No.
Except you, apparently.
Nobody cares a shit about Pluto.
I bet $20 you're wrong.
I'll bet
Okay.
people live on Pluto.
I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna ask you a question, and I want you to seriously give me an answer.
I'm going to seriously give you an answer.
What the fuck impact does Pluto being a planet or not have on my life?
None. Because you
Exactly.
don't care about it.
So I give two shits about this thing.
At least he gives two and not just one.
Multiples.
All it was is scientists wanting to get their name in a fucking paper or an article or some shit.
No, there
Debunking
was...
Pluto as a planet.
there
and
was-
then, oh no, never mind.
No,
It
there
is a
was
planet.
back and forth on different rules that they had previously established on what is and is not a planet. And there were some people that said
There was whole
there were
nation committees
Yeah.
set up to try and figure it out.
yeah, it was a big
Big deal.
They made a big
Why don't
deal.
they just say
Why?
if it has a moon, it's a planet. If not, then who gives a shit?
But
Pluto has
Pluto
two.
has a moon.
Has two.
So there you
Has
go.
two.
There you
Right.
go.
So again, what the hell is the big deal?
I'm kind of with Logan on this one. I don't really give a shit either. But
Well, it's like tomatoes. Are they a fruit or are they a vegetable?
Who
I
cares?
think they're technically
cares?
fruit.
They
but-
I hate
Tomatoes,
I
yeah.
hate tomatoes, so I'm with him on this one.
They
I don't
taste
care
good
about
and they make
tomatoes.
a great spaghetti sauce.
And
This
they
one
taste great on
actually
burgers and
mattered a
sandwiches.
lot to farmers
What?
because
Pluto?
there's no tomatoes. Because there's
Why?
different
They're still gonna
taxation
sell
on
'em.
vegetables or fruits.
Ah, I see. I think they finally declared them a fruit. I think technically they're a
So
fruit.
you know what?
But I don't know.
They are a fruit
Maybe-
because they have seeds inside.
The Plutonians are going to get pissed off that we didn't
Yeah,
call
but
them
see,
a planet.
that can't always.
and
That
they're
rule
gonna
doesn't always work.
rain unholy havoc upon our planet.
That
Did you ever
rule
think
doesn't
about
always
that?
work. Strawberries have seeds on the outside. They're still a fruit.
They have
There's other
seeds.
criteria. It's
Yeah,
a seed
but I'm just
bearing
saying-
whatever. Vegetables don't
Seeds.
have seeds.
Veggies do not have seeds.
That's not what you. That's not the way you put it, though. You put it that. Never mind. It doesn't.
I said
matter.
tomatoes have seeds on the inside.
Yes,
it's a
I
fruit.
know.
Has seeds.
Okay.
So
Okay,
confused.
let
I'm
me
like,
rectify that
why does
statement
it
for
care?
Mark.
What?
If it has seeds, it's a fucking fruit.
I thought it was like if it grew from the ground, it was a vegetable, and then a fruit. Wait, I'm confused.
I don't know.
They all grow from the ground.
I hate
They
them
all
when
grow
I'm
from the
careful.
sky.
Vegetables do not
Tree
produce
versus
seeds.
ground.
This is why this podcast is awesome.
Yes, it is. But that would kind of.
Not this exact podcast.
Random.
but
No,
a
this
podcast.
exact
No,
podcast
this-
is amazing.
No.
I'm happy right now. This is hilarious.
Episode
This is the one that I'm going to play over and over again.
over and over and over
This,
again.
this is the pod that's going to get lost in the ether.
You think?
Yes.
I don't think so.
No, no.
I have a feeling about this one.
It's
Logan.
going to get lost in space.
It's going to get lost in the ether.
Oh, that was a
Now
Because
we're
people are going to
both
be like,
we're
oh,
both
Jesus,
red.
they're talking about Star Trek.
I think you're wrong. I think people are gonna be like, "Ooh, they're talking about Star Trek."
We're two geeks and one mic. Everybody listens. I mean, there's people who listen to Star Trek or watch Star
It's
Trek
true.
to Star crap.
You know, even if you don't like Star Trek, there are a lot of people who love it. And
I'm
they're
going to be
geeks.
completely
They're
honest
a part
with you.
of our geek nation.
When it comes to Star Wars and Star Trek, I would definitely pick Star Wars.
Oh, yeah,
they have
totally.
much better
any day of the
storylines.
week.
Way more fun to watch Star Wars than Star Trek.
Well,
The
Star
thing I
Wars-
appreciate the most about Star Trek is the technology that comes out of Star Trek. They don't really go into the Star Wars technology very much.
Well,
So-
and another big thing is you get storyline, or you get a lot more. I love Star Wars, but unless you're really into it and watch Rebels and Clone Wars,
Like-
you live movie to movie.
Yeah.
Whereas Star Trek is both worlds. It's got the TV series and it has.
Yeah.
So you kind of have that filler until
Yeah.
the next time frame.
Well, and
Even though I am a junkie and I do watch Rebels and Clone Wars and all
yeah,
that stuff
yeah.
too. So.
Of course. Well, of course. Well, Star Wars definitely has a lot of things that Star Trek does not have. For instance,
Lightsaber.
Well, yeah, we could make
Headphone
a list all
jacks.
I was just gonna say for starters, headphone jacks. That too.
Did you see that?
Yes, I did see that. When Luke and Han are in the guns in A New Hope,
Oh yeah,
and
that's
they're
true.
flying around shooting laser blasters, but their headsets are still jacked in. But no, I mean, like in Star Wars, you go to a planet, and there's some funky creatures, man. There's some crazy aliens. They're not all humans that speak English.
Humanoid.
Which is something that Star Trek
But
could
Star
never
Trek-
really get around.
Star
no matter
Trek
how
always had the communicator. That was
Yeah.
how they got around it.
Yeah.
You know?
they're universal communicator, which actually is another one of those technologies
that's another
that
thing
exists.
that exists. You can get an app on your phone that you can talk into it. And
Well,
it'll
they've
speak
even
the
got
language for you.
the Babelfish now.
The
You
thing
can
about
plug it
Star
directly
Trek that
into
would
your
never
ear.
ever work is them looking like they're speaking English and it being them
Yeah.
Well,
them
and they-
speaking
and
it in real time to you.
They
I don't know.
Did you see Beyond yet?
Yes, we've all
So
seen
they touched on that and Beyond.
Yeah.
They had to
Yeah.
turn on the translator for that one person.
Yeah, and then they had
And
to
then
match
and
the
then
speech
she's
patterns.
yeah,
and-
then
yeah.
the person would talk and then whatever. Anyway, so
It
they
would
did
start to
kind
pick
of
things up.
maybe
they did
technology
kind of-
will be good enough to do that one day.
They did that in Deep Space Nine too. Actually, they had an alien lady land on this station, and they had to give the Universal Translator a little while to catch up. It was pretty awesome.
New person, don't know what's going on here.
Well, she came through the wormhole.
Yeah.
On the other side of the wormhole, so they had no idea who or what she was. But no, they one of the things they have now is an earpiece that you can plug in. It's actually called a Babelfish. That one was actually more Hitchhiker's Guide
Yeah,
to the
that's
Galaxy.
Hitchhiker's Guide.
And so, but you can plug these in, and I guess they got like 4 languages. They got English, Spanish, French, and Italian, or something like that, that are all uploaded into this device. And if someone's speaking that language, it'll listen to the language and then translate it for you and play it into your ear. So Universal Translator is a thing. It's actually a thing. It's actually there. It's out there.
It's happening.
The truth is out there. Da 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 da. Do 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 do.
I'm still waiting for them to announce that they're going to do another season of that. By the way, of X-Files.
X-Files? They did.
Yeah, it's
They
already.
actually announced they're going to do another one.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
Because
after
last
the
time
one
I
that
heard,
they just did, that was the reboot?
they weren't sure. It was ratings were good enough, and they wanted to do another one, but they hadn't announced it yet. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it for a little while.
I thought because they just continued. It wasn't a reboot. They just started again.
No, they
Didn't
ended
they?
it with a big, huge cliffhanger.
Yeah.
A huge cliffhanger.
I didn't
They've never
watch it.
ever had a cliffhanger like that in the entire series.
I-
I'd be pissed off if they didn't because
never
they've
really-
got to answer what the hell's going on now.
Yeah, I never really got into X-Files, to be honest.
I couldn't either.
I watched it as a
I was a
kid.
huge fan. I loved it. As a kid, I hated it because I was scared to death of it. But
Allie wanted me to
The
get really
older I
into
got,
it
the more
because
I
she
got into
loves
it.
it.
Yeah.
And so she sat down when they were, because they're on Netflix, and I watched the first episode, and I fell asleep. And she's like, "Okay, no more, no more X-Files." I'm like, "I need
It
closure
is-
on this, man."
There is some episodes that are tough to watch because they are pretty boring. The first season does have a lot of more boring
And
episodes.
I want to know. I
The
want to
Smoky
know the
Man.
answer in the end. That's what I want to know. That's my problem with it. Is some of them there's no actual
Yeah,
closure
that
to the
is
episode.
yes. The X-Files is notorious for that, for sure. Still a very good series, in my opinion.
And yeah, stop taking selfies.
I can't stop taking selfies. I'm addicted.
Yeah, you can't talk in
I
the
was
mic
trying
and do
to
it
get
at
a
the same
picture.
time.
I was trying to get a picture of all of us recording.
Yep.
Gosh.
Oh my God.
End of Logan's disdain. For
And
this
well, I
team.
already got a picture of Logan's disdain. I'm gonna get a picture of his poop stain later on too. What about X-Files? You got
Not
nothing
an
on X-Files?
fan.
I never watched it.
That's okay. You're not missing.
It's
much.
on Netflix. Pick it up. Watch it.
I never watched it.
Why not?
I never got into it.
What
If
about
you like
Heroes?
Stranger
I tried
Things,
watching
I
it,
think
just
you would
couldn't-
like
I
it.
just couldn't get into it.
It is
I'm kinda
Stranger
surprised-
Things-esque.
Yeah, there's a lot of
But-
mysteries like that going on in
Yeah.
X-Files.
It's a lot of Area 51-ish.
Yeah.
Not every episode. There's a lot of government conspiracies, and it gets a little better, I think, later on in the series than it did when it first started. That's my opinion.
I like the only Area 51 tie-in. There's 2 Area 51 tie-ins that I really liked in the sci-fi universe, and one was Independence Day. That was just clever. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I liked, how did you get the funding to pay for all this? Well, you didn't think it really cost $50 for a hammer, $100 for a toilet seat. That was great. And then the other Area 51 tie-in that I liked was Stargate.
Yes.
I loved how they used Area 51 as like the base for research, and then the Cheyenne Mountain Complex was the
yeah, it wasn't
Stargate
actually
launching
at
point.
Area 51.
No, but their research facility
yeah, the
was.
research was, but
Every time they'd go out and they'd find stuff, they would send it off to Area 51 so that the Area 51 team could
Yep.
duplicate it or something like that. What about Stargate, Logan?
reverse engineer it.
What about Stargate?
I saw the movie.
That's it?
That's it.
You ever watched the TV series?
Why can you only? How can you only do 1 star? You gotta have more than
Seriously.
1 star.
One
There's the
star.
Starfecta.
Stargate, Star Wars, Star Trek. There's
Yeah.
got to be at least 2.
You're
The movie
sitting
was-
on a one-legged stool
I
right
watched
Those
now.
are
Battlestar
good.
Galactica.
No.
That's a star.
No, it's not.
That is a star.
No, it's not.
No.
It's in the name.
Battlestar Galactica sucks.
He found another button.
I can say the same thing about stupid Stargate. I
What?
hate that show.
Why do you hate
It was
Stargate?
so cheesy and so dumb. The movie was awesome. The movie was great. But to me, they just raped the shit out of that movie when they made that TV show.
See, I like the first few
And they ruined
seasons the
any
best.
possibility of them ever doing a good sequel to that movie. And in fact, I actually heard they're going to do a reboot or something like that to the movie.
They're
All right,
done.
that's what I've been
Dude,
reading
they
about.
wrapped that thing up in a friggin'
Yeah.
beautiful bow.
You're talking about Hollywood. They reboot everything.
Well,
they're going to
that's
reboot
Yeah,
the
they've-
series.
They just
Or the
announced they're
movie.
rebooting MacGyver, for God's sake.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
I did hear about that too.
Which I have mixed feelings on, because
Who's playing MacGyver?
it better
Some
be
young
Richard
kid.
Dean Anderson.
No, it's
I don't
some-
know.
No, they're
else.
doing MacGyver's son is.
So is
doing
Richard Dean
MacGyver.
Anderson going to be in it?
He better.
I think he's.
He better grow back that mullet.
Better, right? Dude, I posit to the committee at this point in time that Richard Dean Anderson, as MacGyver, was the only man to wear a mullet and look awesome as hell.
And look awesome.
I don't, and maybe Steve Perry from Journey.
Steve Perry.
I've never liked the mullet. I loved Metallica, and James Hetfield sported one. I think he looked dumb as hell. I am
That's what I'm
not
saying.
a fan of the mullet on
You
anybody.
have 2 people in history ever to pull off the mullet: Richard Dean Anderson.
I disagree with you. I
And
don't
Steve
think
Perry.
anyone can pull off the mullet. Well, except for maybe, Cyrus. Billy Ray Cyrus's mullet. Oh, my God.
Wow. Get out.
I'm joking.
Seriously.
I'm joking.
Put the mic down and get the fuck out.
It's,
I just got kicked off my own.
wow. Well, that
Journey.
escalated fast.
That escalated. No, I am a fan of Stargate. I think that I even liked Stargate Atlantis, even though
Atlantis was amazing.
even though
I loved it so much more than SG-1.
It was really.
Yep.
It was more spin-offy to me. I really enjoyed it, but it was spin-offy, so it was a little bit more hokey. Stargate Universe,
That was crap.
I couldn't even watch it. I
No.
couldn't. It was painful. It was unwatchable. I couldn't do it, which is funny because I love Richard Carlisle, and
Who's
he was
that?
in it.
Who's
He was the scientist. He also plays Rumpelstiltskin in Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, wake up your computer. Okay, yeah.
I'll bet if
I hate him.
really
Yeah, I hated that
Well,
character.
his character or him as a person.
the character in the
We
show.
have a very hard time staying on topic on this show, but we did piss off Logan the majority of the songs.
That's true. Logan, we love
Logan's
you.
gonna kill us all in our sleep.
He is. We're gonna wake up with a Colombian necktie. And for those of you who don't know what that is, Google it.
Google it.
Don't Google it at work, though. Thank you
Not safe for work.
for listening. You guys are awesome.
Thank Christ. This
Yes.
is over? Good.
Thank you for
Logan,
listening.
we're closing down. It's time to wake you up.
All right,
Wake me
so we have
up
fulfilled your
when
guys'
this
wet dream of doing a
podcast
pod on Star
ends.
Trek. So we can never revisit that shit again.
No,
well, no, when the new
revisit it.
TV show
when
comes
the new
out.
TV
Yeah.
show comes out, we're gonna have to talk about it.
When STD comes out.
Listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. We will do that when you guys watch fucking Game of Thrones. Okay?
Oh, okay. How about we do this?
No.
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 Listen.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Hold
You
up.
watch all of it,
Hold up. Let's do this.
or no Star Trek shit.
You want to do this? You want to do this? I'll watch Game of Thrones. You watch Star Trek Discovery.
No, because
Oh,
I've already
see?
seen
Wow,
Game of
sorry.
Thrones.
Sorry.
I already watched all the seasons.
I've already watched all of Star Trek.
You haven't watched Star Trek Discovery because it hasn't come out
Not yet. I never watched Enterprise.
Enterprise was terrible.
Yeah,
That's what
to
I
be
hear.
honest with you, the only one I ever really liked was The Next Generation, and I go back to watch that, and it is so fucking boring.
It's terrible.
It's all about diplomatic missions.
Yeah, it's terrible. We're on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
I appreciate that it gave
We
us
received no
Patrick
transmissions.
Stewart because I think he's funny as hell. But yeah, for the most part, most of that show is pretty boring. Anyway, thank you for
Stewart or
tuning in,
McAvoy.
and,
These timelines are so confusing.
All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Even though this was really painful for Logan, he still stuck it out like a champ. He's awesome.
he is good. He stayed here the whole time. When he was getting up, he just was throwing something away or something.
Yeah.
You know the drill. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Be awesome like
Tell us how terrible we are
Yeah.
or how great we are. I don't care.
I love it. Good night.